right, so we have Gabe here from Mesh. We have Gaston, founder of Omotenashi Group. Also, he's brought Smorgasburg to Miami. We have Kaben Clauson, who has brought Base, a social membership club, which we're all excited to hear more about. Let you guys do a brief introduction of who you are and what you're up to.
Yep. Thanks, Manoli.
Yeah.
My name is Gabriele. I'm an executive at Mesh, leading our commercial initiatives. What we do at Mesh is we empower builders of financial products to bring financial value to their end users through our embedded finance experience. I'm excited to be here. I'm in Miami doing a panel with my friends. Thanks, Manoli. Thanks, Ideagen. Thanks, Eric, for having us.
Awesome. Gaston?
Yeah, my name is Gaston Becherano. I run a hospitality group called Omotenashi Group. Omotenashi is the Japanese word for hospitality. Take a lot of inspiration from Japan. And the two companies that I'm most excited about right now from the project that we're working on, the first one is Smorgasburg, Miami, which maybe some of you in Miami have visited or know about. It's Miami's largest outdoor food market. So we feature 50 independent food vendors that all come up and set up every single weekend in Wynwood. And what Smorgasburg is, it's an incubation for restaurateurs, aspiring chefs that want to open restaurants, who come every single weekend and test their concept out before then moving on into opening a restaurant. And it's been really a great success. We opened in March of 2022, and we've had in a year over 800,000 people who visited us. We open every single weekend in Wynwood. And the other project I'm really excited about is a company called Motorcycle Matcha. I love tea, and I love matcha, and I love Japan. And over the last 3 years, I've visited Japan and rode a motorcycle, hence the name Motorcycle Matcha, through Japan to meet with different tea farmers to source what I believe is really the best possible tea there. And through both projects, in different ways, I've learned a lot about how to engage with hospitality to drive some form of success. I'm excited to be here.
That's incredible. And for those that haven't been to Smorgasburg, the food's amazing. You have to check it out. You could really stuff your face there, and it's endless. It's delicious. So awesome to have you here, Kaben.
Yeah, my name is Kaben Clauson. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Base. This is my third startup. It's really an exciting product. We built a tech-powered social club. And really, it came out of this post-COVID era where people are spending more time on their phones than ever before. We're all working remotely. It's increasingly become challenging to make high quality friendships and connections in cities. So we're using a little technology behind it. What we do is on our mobile app every single month, our members are matched to a group of 6 to 8 people somewhere in the city. We have partners all over the city of Miami, which is our launch city. And after each experience, we're able to give feedback, and we're able to learn and kind of use an algorithm to learn and figure out who are the best people for you to meet in the city. And really, our goal as a company is to make every city feel smaller, right? In a city, you can feel so lost in just the waves of people, but our thesis is if we can help you meet the right people in your city, that your life will be dramatically improved. So thanks for having me.
Yeah, how's everything going so far? I know you launched 10 months ago.
We launched 10 months ago. It was a wild idea because there was traditionally I've gone kind of the VC route and pitching some friends from there. There was a lot of skepticism, I think, initially around this is in real life. It's not pure software. What does that mean for the business? I think what we're finding is there's huge demand for this thing. So it's been going phenomenal in Miami. We're growing like crazy organically, and we're actually launching Austin, Texas right now. So we'll be in our second market.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Who are your main competitors here in Miami? I know we have Soho House. We have Armada.
Well, we compete against, I'd say about, 25% of our members are Soho House members. In the sense, I don't think we compete there. It's a great place to hang out with people. Not necessarily a place you're going to, unless you're super outgoing and be like, hey guys, I'm going to try to meet someone new. I think really what we compete against is the inertia of just human nature. Most people don't even think of this as a concept they should even try. There's also that fear of, as human beings, we always have there's some social anxiety involved, I think, with meeting strangers. So I think we're battling against that. I think we're battling against the noise of everything. But as far as this concept specifically, this idea of a distributed social club, I think it's a rather new concept. But I figure that we won't be the only ones doing this very soon.
Well, good thing you're ahead of the curve, right? Awesome. So I want to flip it to you, Gabe. So cryptocurrencies right there, they've been a hot topic for a few years now. And for those that don't know what cryptocurrency is, it's kind of confusing and it's a hard concept to grasp. and what you guys do is just help people with transactions using your platform. How do you make the integration process? How do you essentially simplify such a complex thing for your clients?
Right. So like who owns crypto in here? Just so I can understand the audience a little bit more. Okay. So like most of us understand crypto to some degree. That's good. I think it's going to be a big year for crypto. So I'm excited. So if you haven't bought any, like I definitely would recommend so. I think it's a good,
Not financial advice.
not financial advice, but it's a good way to diversify your portfolio. So like what we're doing within the crypto space, we do consider ourselves asset class agnostic, right? So we do work with brokerages like Robinhood, like Vanguard, like Fidelity. We just brought on PayPal as an investor. They play both in the traditional payment space, and then they just launched a wallet, so they're dabbling into digital assets and cryptocurrency. What we really do is we empower people to connect different accounts, right? So we're giving an experience to people to be able to aggregate their portfolios across all their different wallets, investment accounts, manage their assets, move their assets around. In the end, our goal really is to promote financial inclusion, right? So like we want to continue to be asset class agnostic. We want to play within the cryptocurrency space. The reason we launched within that vertical really is because there's a lot of innovation within digital assets, and then platforms that are building within the space are more open to enabling new technologies like ours. But you'll continue to see us strike more partnerships with like payment service providers and other like traditional finance platforms.
That's awesome. Even just going on the website, it feels really digestible. So you guys have done a good job of just making the user interface nice and not really intimidating. I know crypto, for those that haven't invested in it, there's a lot of complexity involved in putting your money out there, wallets, transactions, things can get lost. Right. You guys have done a really good job with that.
And that's exactly what we're doing, right? So like when you think about overall adoption, over the next 10 years, we expect millions more people to be investing in cryptocurrency. People like my dad, for example, right? Right now, so far, up until now, it's been pretty daunting to invest in crypto. You have to like open up accounts, copy and paste long wallet addresses that it's like a bunch of words, right? You don't know where the assets are going, and then they kind of disappear, then they appear in another account. It's scary, it's daunting. We fixed that, right? So like with your username and password, you can connect another account, view your balances, and then trigger a transfer. And then it immediately appears on your other account. So it just facilitates that whole process, makes it much more secure, less daunting, less prone to error as well. Yeah,
and that's the main, I think, obstacle. And people that are like, a few generations ahead of us, they're like, I want security in my transfers. So that's awesome. You guys have addressed that. Now, flipping it to you, Gaston, I know you've put an emphasis on creating these positive experiences and these positive moments in what you've put together at Smorgasburg. How do you do that? And how do you think that can help just the everyday business in terms of hospitality?
Yeah, I think increasingly demographics like the millennials, and especially Gen Z, which is the demographic that is spending the least amount of time with each other hanging out, is having the least amount of sex with their partners, is marrying or thinking about having children at a later time. Companies are shifting their focus on how to build products to target these individuals, and are thinking about targeting these individuals in more digital ways because they're spending more time on their screens. But at the same time, all of those individuals, every single person in this room, us, people in the audience, we all have similar brain structures and desires as human beings to interact with each other in person. That's just how our brains are made up. Everyone has a prefrontal cortex. Everyone has an amygdala. Everyone wants to feel seen and feel heard. And the demand for an in-person experience is still there, which very much so is a place like Smorgasburg, Miami, where you have to go in person. You can't actually get any of the food delivered to you because all these small businesses are operating out of tents. You have to literally physically go every single weekend and interact with the vendors, sit at a picnic table, and if it's very busy, you might be sitting next to another individual that you have to speak to, which it's a crazy daunting task to think about, speaking to a stranger nowadays. But as a result of Smorgasburg having to be an in-person experience, when we decided to design our space, we were very intentional about how to actually set up the space in order to maximize the number of interactions that people would have with each other. And so this might seem like a little detail, but instead of having 50 picnic tables in the center portion of Smorgasburg where everyone sits, we had 70 and bunched it up together. It's not necessarily because we can fill all those 70 tables, even though in a busy weekend we'll fill all those 70 tables.
I've had trouble getting tables at Smorgasburg. You should add more.
But if Gabe goes to Smorgasburg, this handsome man in Miami, everyone wants to sit next to him or get close to him. They have that option, and then they can speak to Gabe. And so, yeah, I think, as something that I would advise, not to get too much into how we design Smorgasburg, but as someone to advise other people and companies and anything, a takeaway is that increasingly companies, I think, are creating solutions that are a one-size-fits-all for their consumers, just because there's this push for scalability and having a product that a lot of people can use. But there's a very powerful moment what happens when someone can design something that feels like a one-for-one, and the individual feels like they're getting a personalized experience, which is the case when they're interacting with a vendor or having a conversation that is unique. And that is a moment that sticks in their minds. So I think for Smorgasburg, we try our best to increase the number of opportunities for those types of experiences to happen. And I think that's part of the reason why people like going.
Yeah, so everyone that goes has a completely different experience. And it's not the same each time that you go. There's new vendors. There's always something new to be had, which is the beautiful thing about it.
I think that's so important. Like we were kind of talking about this off camera. I work remotely and I don't like it. I miss the in-person experience. So now this year I've started going in an office alone, right? Because my whole team's remote. Most people are in San Francisco. And I'm working in an office alone, but just that rhythm of getting out of the house, putting real clothes on, getting fresh air, maybe saying hi to the front desk lady. It's life changing.
Yeah.
And it even from a mental, and I know you and I talk about health and wellness, mental health, physical health. But from a mental health standpoint, I do think, and I get this feedback a lot from my peers of all ages, even my parents, people that work remotely now. It's been a lot of years. It does have an impact on you. And I think what you guys are doing is great to promote more in-person experience, which kind of seems weird to me, right? Because my whole life we were interacting with people in person, but I do think we're trending kind of in the opposite direction in some ways, especially professionally in tech. And I think it's great what you guys are doing.
Yeah, I love it. Gabe, I want to hear from you. Yeah. Tell us about Base and tell us what sets it apart from the other social clubs that are out there.
Well, look, I think, there's a misnomer. We call social media social, right? Things like Instagram and Twitter, they're not inherently social. What they are is they're voyeuristic platforms. If you really get down to the basics of it, if you're on these sites, you're watching other people do things from afar. And I think there's a utility to them. I use them as well. What we learned, our origin story started from a book called Bowling Alone, written by Andrew Putnam in 2001. Basically talked about the breakdown of community in America starting in the 1970s. What happened was all these technologies came along that were single player technologies, particularly the television was the biggest culprit. So we started spending a lot more time alone. And I love what Gabe said, because Gabe nailed it and Gaston nailed it. We are designed as human beings to have in-person interaction, to have that feeling of being in a tribe. And if you're not in a tribe, and if you don't feel like you have a lot of allies in your local vicinity, because we all have friends all over the world, but having people local, your happiness goes down, your anxiety goes up, your business outcomes go down, your romantic outcomes go down. So we know that there's this huge impact happening. I think for us, what we had to figure out was, how can we stand out in a noisy world? So what we wanted to do is a few things. We want to make our product really simple, right? You're not going to get sent to 50 different things in a given month. You're matched very specifically to one group each month, and then you're also offered a few other alternative experiences you can bring a +1 to. Just something very simple like that. And then we really believe our matching is the make or break thing with our product, right? We've matched groups together in Miami that loved each other, and they're all best friends, and they're all spending more time together. We've also matched groups that didn't like each other as much, right? And we're learning from that. And I think at the end of the day, the technology piece here is we can use things like, and I hate to throw around the word AI because it's at such a small scale right now, but really if you're trying to organize human beings into groups, it's a really powerful tool to do that effectively.
Yeah.
So that's been our main focus, is thinking about how do we match people really well.
I love it. I love it. I think you both are kind of going against the grain in terms of how people are less connected than ever in a way, because there's always a phone in your pocket that you can look on when you're nervous or you don't want to talk to someone that's next to you. So there's always that third person in the room. And what you guys are doing is forcing people out of their comfort zone to actually make real connections, which I think during COVID was a really hard thing to do. And that's why a lot of people were lonely. And that's what caused the mental health epidemic that I think we're still dealing with today. So speaking of COVID and pandemics, how do you guys hedge against a future pandemic when you're thinking about hospitality and creating something that makes people actually interact face to face?
That's a good question.
Sure. I think I can say, I think for a business like Smorgasburg, it's quite detrimental to have something like COVID, which eliminates the possibility of having an in-person market that's packed with 6,000 to 7,000 people every single weekend. So it's impossible to hedge an experience like Smorgasburg unless we completely flip it on its head and do a delivery process out of it, but then the nature of it is completely changed. Yeah. What I would say is that out of COVID, it was clear that people craved these moments way more than before, because they've been isolated from these moments for a year and a half, 2 years. So Smorgasburg operates in Miami, but we also have a location in New York and LA. So we got a pretty good sense of how each city behaved after people were let go. I would say when their restrictions were lifted, they were lifted way earlier in Miami than New York and LA. But when they were lifted in New York and LA, our foot traffic increased like 140% previously from the years when there was no COVID. So people were so pent up for these experiences that once they were able to experience them again, they went out and did everything. And so I don't think there's a way to hedge, to answer your question in a poor way.
Yeah.
But I think just having these experiences there post a COVID period, if it does happen again, is really just very important.
It's a solution in itself to give people what they were missing for such a long time. How about you, Kaben?
Yeah, it's an interesting and controversial topic, actually. I would say this. I think in one sense, we just need to pray there's not another pandemic, because that would be very bad for our business for obvious reasons. We have to be in person. That's our whole. We're betting everything on that. Although we have a digital component where we need to be in person. I think what I would say, though, is Gaston's right. I think this COVID era we lived through exposed so many interesting things about human nature, about technology, about investing trends. And I think one of them is we got to weigh the cost benefit analysis of what isolation does to a human being. And I think we underestimate that, and how the mind and the body are connected as one in health outcomes and all the research around that. And we just got to pray that we don't have one of these again. Frankly, I wish I had a longer answer for you, but that's it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's one of the things we were so deprived of. Is I know in Miami it wasn't nearly as bad as New York and LA, but even being told that we couldn't go to the beach was catastrophic. And I know we found ways to get there, but we were just craving being outside and seeing someone walking by your neighbor. Just that hello, I think, meant so much. So yeah, I think it's wonderful what you guys are doing and how you've found a way to kind of bring the community back together. It's incredible, and we're definitely going to be checking out both your concepts very soon.
But I have no doubt you guys would pivot too. Like as a business owner, like you find solutions, and I'm like you said, delivery. Like I'm sure you could do some sort of virtual event to make people feel more united. In the interim, if another pandemic happens, I'm sure you guys would figure it out.
We could try it.
If we had no choice, we'd probably figure it out. But
like a lot of businesses
you said, it's probably that doesn't happen.
Yeah. Switching back to you, Gabe, with the crypto world, there's constant regulatory changes, and I can barely keep up with them. And as an investor, it stresses me out because I don't know what's happening. And if something great happens, then I just see my coins boost. Then if something bad happens, it could be a 20% drop in one day. How do you guys stay on top of it? Is that a team within your business? And how do you kind of change the product as it's evolving so quickly?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think we need regulation in the space. It's been a hot topic since day one. Year over year, there's more regulation, there's more clarity. I think with more clarity, there's better alignment within the industry. We have like we spend a lot of money on legal. We have a bunch of lawyers. We have a whole advisory panel of people that are very in tune with the regulators, with the SEC. I have a direct line with them to like help us like navigate this gray area, because like you said, it's still not well defined, and there's no real timeline on when we can get like assertive definition on how to operate or what's right and what's wrong. So you kind of just have to like go with the flow. In regards to like volatility around tokens, I think like that's just the immaturity of the asset class in total. When there's a new asset, there's a low market cap, like it's sensible, right? So there's volatility there, and when there's like good press, things go well. When there's bad press, things go down, maybe in the interim or temporarily. But like macro view, I think it's like bullish, and I'm very positive of where the space is going.
Yeah.
Yep.
Is financial advising a piece of what you do, or,
No.
or is that
No.
going to be?
No, so we were a registered investment advisor, but we pivoted our product a bit. So no, like right now we're really a connectivity layer. We actually don't touch assets in any way. And we really empower users to have control of their assets and kind of do whatever they want. And we're just that connectivity layer, sending instructions and communicating from one platform to the other.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I think it makes it really easy and takes the thinking off the end user, which is the big thing with crypto investing.
Yeah, 100%. So very bullish. I think like if you look at it globally too, like what's going on in Europe with MiCA is positive. There's more alignment and regulation there. The UK spearheading that, but then all the EU is adopting that by end of year. And I think that'll impact the United States, which is still the biggest market within this asset class, to like provide more clarity around it. I think also things like the elections will impact that too. So we'll see. I think it's going to be a big year.
Yeah, a lot's happening.
Yeah, a lot's
And
happening.
lots to
Always.
continue to
Yes,
happen.
always. Yeah.
Since this is the Impact Miami panel, I'd love to hear from you guys. Why Miami? Is Miami the perfect spot for what you're doing? Is there another city you have your eye on? What do you love about Miami? I'll start with you, Mr. Miami.
Yeah, Miami's great. I mean, I met all of you guys in Miami.
Yeah.
Even though some of you lived in New York and I lived in New York.
You're the one that put this panel together.
Yeah, I think Miami's great. I know like why I was a big fan of this panel and this conference is like there's a lot going on within the tech scene in Miami, right? And that's growing. And I know like you're probably gonna have a lot of comments on this because you're very embedded in this. But what I think what attracted a lot of people to Miami, especially during the pandemic and how we saw Miami grow, was weather, taxes, right? And the shift to remote, right? So people didn't need to commute to work or be in the office. They could have cheaper cost of living, higher quality of living, also potentially, have a better impact on their bottom line with less taxes. So that attracted a lot of people there. I think what's garnered more momentum now is for me, the sheer size of the overall community. So maybe like a lot of experienced founders, experienced investors, like even like the Peter Thiels of the world moved here. But there's been more opportunity to kind of connect, right, with people that were harder to connect to in a San Francisco or a New York, where the environment's larger, it's more competitive, it's harder to be heard. Everyone's a founder, everyone's building a startup. We're here, the community's smaller, so you're able to have a bigger impact. It's easier to network, and that's really propelled me, and that's what's led me to meet some of you guys, which has been awesome.
Love it. Well, thanks for the intro to all of us, because you put this together. Gaston, how about you?
Yeah, I think I would echo some of the stuff Gabe said about the community growing here, as far as more entrepreneurs being in Miami and being able to meet them and share ideas. I think something that's really interesting about a city like Miami is that it feels, at least to me, especially within the scope of hospitality, which is my industry, that the city is really just at the beginning stages of growth. And so for me, it's really exciting to be a young entrepreneur who brought a concept like Smorgasburg, because I don't really think it could have been as successful in maybe other major cities. So for example, within 6 months, I had the idea of bringing a concept that was already in New York, and we were able to get a site, which I would argue is a really, really prime location in Wynwood, and then get up and running and launch a successful business. I don't think in a place like New York, if a concept like Smorgasburg hadn't existed there, that we could have had similar success so quickly. Just because Miami is ready for these concepts and they're not here to its full capacity yet. It's not a mature city for hospitality, you can say. Maybe there's other industries that that's the case. And so over the next 5-10 years, it's a really exciting place for me to be in, and potentially other people that want to move here, because there's a lot more attention to Miami. Miami's ready for these types of concepts, and they're not here yet. They still have to be fulfilled by someone. So one, that's a really exciting opportunity. But two, it also gives you the ability to help mold the city in the way that you want to mold it and influence it in a really large way, which I don't think is the same case for a place like New York, which is massive and very difficult to bring something new. And also LA, that's already gone through this food scene revolution in the early 2010s, late 2010s. So I just think Miami as a city is really exciting to be in as an entrepreneur. And then a fantastic place also just to live, especially in these times of years when it's really cold in New York and everywhere.
Right.
It's a fantastic place to live.
Yeah.
You feel healthy coming back here.
Yeah.
Every time I leave and I come back and I drive into MacArthur and look at the water, this is such a great place to be.
Yeah,
Keep the tan.
grateful to live here, that's for sure. I'm
Yeah.
never on a flight returning home and upset that I'm coming back.
Right.
That's
Right.
never happened.
It's the best feeling.
It is. It is. How about you, Kaben?
I go a step further. I think Miami, when we look back historically on this decade, will be the American city of this decade. When we look historically, you see like New York in the 90s, San Francisco in the early 2000s. Like there's these moments in time, and I think what's happening is, I think Miami is America in a way. That's why I came here. We think of diversity. Diversity. There's a lot of ways to look at diversity. I like to look at intellectual diversity as well as these other ways. I like the fact this is a city that has people of opposing political views. There's people from different countries of origin. There's Europeans here. There's people from Latin America. There's people from all of the United States. I think that collision of energy is really good for fostering ideas. I think when a lot of my founder friends come from San Francisco or Chicago or New York and visit here, there is more of an optimism to this town right now. And I think that's just the nature of this is a city that's booming. There's towers going up everywhere. I don't know, there's something like 16,000 new units under construction right now. So yeah, I think Miami, if you're going to build a business, a technology business, I think Miami is one of the best places to build it, with the one caveat being, this is not a city that cranks out a lot of engineering talent.
Right.
So I think that's the one thing Miami is really lacking for becoming like the big tech hub, right? We can't compete with AI companies. They're all in San Francisco, things like that. So, but yeah, incredibly bullish on Miami. Best decision I ever made was moving here. That's for sure.
I think
Likewise.
to echo some of his points, it seems that Miami is more interested, people in Miami are more interested in building companies and having positive interactions with other founders and just focusing on, again, building these companies, as opposed to other things like identity politics on either side or virtue signaling on either side of the political spectrum, which to me is something that you find more prevalent in places like New York and LA and San Francisco. That might take away from the ability to just focus on building your company. So I think that's what, when you said optimism, that's what that jumped out. I agree completely.
And how do you think we can attract more engineering talent? Because I do think that's a problem within the tech space. I think that's why SF is still so relevant. I'm the only one at my company that lives in Miami, right? We have a 40-person company, most of them are engineers. How do we solve that?
Well, I think
Tough question.
we can solve it for me. So my sister's a founder of a company that has about 50 employees in Chicago. Once she got to that stage of employees, headcount in that city, very hard to move headquarters, right? Because you're uprooting families, you're uprooting all kinds of processes. So in a way, I think the best way would be to make it really easy, or make it really exciting for a young, woman or man who's got an idea to come to Miami to get it started. That'd be my dream for the city, is we could be really great with pre-seed and angel capital. So I think that's really what creates a great tech ecosystem. We always think of like Sequoia and Andreessen. Those folks will only talk to you if you're already, doing 10 million a year in revenue. we need the people that are willing to write those risky checks early. And I think we're starting to see more of that in Miami. There's a lot of capital down here that's never invested in tech, that's invested in real estate and other things.
You're involved in Y Combinator as well, right?
Yeah. And we've actually got 250 Y Combinator alums down here now. So there's actually a lot more people from tech companies here. What it is, though, it's kind of like Gabe's scenario. It's a lot of executives and founders from these companies wanting the tax benefits and wanting the weather and wanting the better lifestyle.
Yeah.
But my dream would be more for the whole. I'm big on in person, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of like a theme for me. I think the best way to work is also in person. So I would love to see these companies be built entirely out here.
I agree. Yeah. And like when recruiting and building out our team, like I've really tried to hire in Miami. But then it's talent first, and I've ended up hiring more people in New York and SF. And then I always offer to get people to move, but people have families. So I think too, like startups should hire younger people and try to like actively recruit, especially maybe like entry level roles, like not senior roles, to like build that ecosystem, and then over time, like those individuals, those professionals can grow. Right. And then I think it's going to take more time though.
Yeah. And one of the final thoughts, I think what we're seeing with AI is the world's changing. And I'm a little biased because I'm a non-technical founder, meaning I don't program, I don't code. 10 years ago, they said you had to learn how to code to build a business. I think most of my CTO friends would tell you 80% of my work is going away through automation. And I think the playing field is shifting, and I think it's shifting towards distributors. If you can create marketing oxygen, you can create a great brand, a go-to-market. That seems to be more the huge challenge in tech today versus building the great technology. Obviously, I'm talking about a specific subset. Some companies are heavy tech, deep AI, deep tech. I'm just talking a regular old startup, your classic fintech or something. So I think that's another thing that could help Miami is we might not even need the engineers if we can just automate a lot of this.
Yeah, and that's what we have the AI panel for later today, which everyone's excited to hear what's going on in that space. One kind of rapid fire question I want to leave you guys with is there one thing that you're excited about in 2024, like one project, one thing you're looking forward to, and maybe from a professional perspective, something that you're working on?
Yeah, I'm super excited for the market. I know we've been talking about crypto for a while, so I'm excited for what's to come. I think this year is going to be a big year for the cryptocurrency market, and then that has impacts on the companies building within the segment. So I'm excited for my company. We've had a lot of traction and hit a lot of milestones already.
Missed your last year.
Right. Yeah. I have a lot of founder friends, a lot of platforms we're working with that are still alive, and 2024 is looking really bullish. So I'm very excited for this year, for what's to come, and to see all kind of boats rise.
Nice. How about you guys, Tom?
Yeah. So for Motorcycle Matcha, our matcha company, I'm really excited to actually launch it this year. It's going to launch finally in 2024. So we're finally wrapping up just the last little bit of details, and are thinking about launching in about a month or two. I'll be going back to Japan in March to continue sourcing. And
Where's my invite? Where's my invite?
You can come. You're all welcome, guys. You got to learn.
Are we going to be able to get it in stores? It's going to be a storefront
It's
itself.
just going to be online, and through some different cafes in Miami that carry it wholesale. So right now you can actually find it at Zach the Baker in Wynwood. They're the first cafe to offer it.
Okay. Right.
But mostly you can find it online at motorcyclematcha.com, or on Instagram. You can look up Motorcycle Matcha, and then we'll share more details about how to actually get the product.
Amazing. I can't wait to try some. How about you, Kaben?
Yeah, 2024 is a huge year for us. We're launching in Austin now, and then we're going to Chicago next. And I think this is a scary time for our business. It's exciting, but it's also scary because every city is its own beast. There's a different subculture there, and there's a big difference between having something that's working successfully in one city and effectively getting it to 2 other markets. Because if we can get to 2 other markets, we can potentially get to 50 to 100 other markets. So very excited about it. A lot to do, but also just grateful every day to be here.
Yeah, I want to just thank you guys for being leaders in the community and all the work that you're doing to bring this community together. And you guys are doing some exciting things. So appreciate you being here. The Impact Miami panel. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Rose, yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks.